I can still hear the wheels of her suitcase rolling away, sharp, rhythmically cruel, and the way her perfume lingered in the air like a lie that refused to evaporate. I stood there at gate 12, staring at the back of the woman who'd once sworn she'd never leave me. She didn't even turn when she said it. "You're old enough to figure it out." Then she walked off with her new husband and his glossy, well-brushed children, straight onto a plane meant for 5 vacations I wasn't invited to. I didn't cry. 15-year-olds learn fast. Some of us in airports. That was my inciting incident. The exact second the story of my life changed genres. She wasn't always the villain in my head. I remember when she used to tuck my hair behind my ears and whisper that I was the only good thing she'd ever done. Back before the divorce twisted her into the kind of woman who blamed her own reflection on everyone else. Back before she became obsessed with starting over. He showed up first as a name, then a laugh in the kitchen, then a ring, and suddenly I wasn't her only good thing. I was her inconvenience. But I stayed quiet. Kids of broken parents always stay quiet. We hope silence keeps us from being the next thing thrown away. It doesn't. I noticed the shift months before the airport. She stopped asking if I'd eaten, stopped knocking before entering my room, stopped looking me in the eyes. Her new husband, Rick, with his gold watch and cheap cologne, treated me like a stray dog that wandered into his photo. His kids acted like they owned the house. They probably believed it. He probably told them they did. But the moment that changed everything wasn't loud. It was the email, an itinerary, for tickets. Her name, his 2 kids. Nome. I stared at the screen for a full minute, numb. She saw me reading it. She didn't apologize. She didn't explain. She just said, "Don't make this difficult." As if my existence was the difficulty. That's when the heartbreak flickered, then died, then settled into something colder. Not rage, calculation. I didn't scream. I didn't confront. I waited. I watched. And I planned. Funny thing about being ignored, you become invisible. And invisible people collect information. I learned things she never thought I'd understand. Her remarriage paperwork wasn't filed correctly. Her financial accounts were still legally tied to my father. Her prenuptial agreement was missing a signature. And worst of all, for her debts, the ones she'd hidden during the divorce, were still technically joint. She thought starting over erased the past. Didn't. It only made her blind. The airport was the final straw. She walked away. She boarded. She left. Her plane lifted into the sky. Mine didn't need to. I sat in the uncomfortable plastic chair and pulled out my phone, scrolling to a number I hadn't called in 3 years. My father answered on the first ring. Only one sentence came out of my mouth. "She left me here." Silence. Then the sound of something heavy being set down. "Where are you?" Took him 2 hours to arrive. Not in a car. In a private jet. The same man she told me didn't care about me walked down the steps and pulled me into the kind of hug you don't forget, even if you pretend to. He didn't ask questions. Just said, "You're coming with me." While she was sipping cocktails poolside, I was sitting in a lawyer's office with my father, signing papers I'd never known existed. He took immediate custody, filed for full guardianship, froze joint accounts, flagged transactions, reopened debt cases, revised the divorce settlement. He didn't do it out of revenge. He did it because I asked him to. When we returned home, his home, my first message came from my mother. "Where are you?" This isn't funny. I didn't answer. I didn't need to. By the time she came back from her vacation fantasy, I knew what she would find. My room emptied. My clothes gone. My drawers bare. My silence deafening. And on her kitchen counter, waiting with impeccable timing, was a letter from the court. Not my handwriting. Legal notice. Custody revoked. Financial review pending. Assets under investigation. My absence wasn't the punishment. The consequences were. She called. She screamed. She cried. Then she begged. I finally answered on the 7th voicemail. Her voice was hoarse. Smaller than I remembered. "Why are you doing this? I'm your mother." I kept my tone steady. "No. You stopped being that when you walked away at gate 12. She inhaled sharply, like my words hit harder than any document could. She tried blame first, then guilt, then anger, but she never tried understanding. That was her final mistake. You can't do this to me, she whispered. I didn't do anything to you, I said. You did it to yourself. I just stopped protecting you from the consequences. The silence that followed was the most honest moment we'd had in years. I hung up, not out of spite, out of closure. Revenge isn't loud. It's clean. I didn't want her suffering. I wanted her truth. She built a life on pretending I didn't exist. I simply removed myself from the parts where I still did. Now, when I think back to that airport, I don't feel abandoned anymore. I feel reborn. Some people spend their whole lives waiting for justice. I learned to create it, one signature at a time.